to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start. How long shall we be patient before we reach the promised land? Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Tell me which way to go. I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to.
Yes, a good morning to you wherever you may be located in this global space. My name is Ayodeji Ajishokwe. I bring you Almond headliners from Almond 94.3 FM in this sprawling city of Ibadan. We broadcast from Agodi GRA. Live in the studio with me for analysis is Mr. Badejoko Adesumbo. A good morning to you, my dear comrade brother.
Good morning, our listeners. Happy weekend, everyone.
Oh, yes, and I say Baraka Juma to the Muslim faithful. And to the boys and girls, I say, thank God, it's Friday. Yes, of course, our mandate is to bring you Almond headliners. And of course, that means newspaper headlines across the Nigerian landscape and even beyond. Yes, the newspapers range, time permitting us, from Punch to the Vanguard, to the Nation, Daily Trust, the Leadership, Guardian, yes, and the Nigerian Tribune, and so on and so forth, as they say. Quite a number of headlines across the newspapers this morning, and we got to run rapidly and appropriately. We're going to be throwing open the studio lines, and you out there, you're a stakeholder in this project, the Nigerian project. You add value to the conversations, because these are conversations that shape the agenda. I start with the Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune, okay, let me start with the Punch. Coastal Highway probe, reps to summon Edun Umahi and the Attorney General of the Federation. That is Punch newspaper. Coastal Highway probe, reps to summon Edun Umahi, AGF. A 2.7 billion naira fraud. Court imposes travel ban on Sirica. You will recall Sirica of the Air Nigeria fame. They did the name unveiling in London, and then they went ahead to do in the twilight of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria got what was branded Air Nigeria being launched, maiden flight, and of course it was later discovered that Air Nigeria that came was actually Air Ethiopia. Am I correct? Yes. I don't get some of these things that we do.
Alas, it was borrowed.
Borrowed Nigeria Air. Why do we do that to ourselves?
Because the system allows it.
The system allows it. Okay. Abduction. Citizens slam IG for detaining journalists beyond legal limits. Go to court. I mean, because I keep telling people I'm not going to allow my rights to be trampled upon in this country. You've got to go fight it out. Okay. Cybersecurity levy. Government under pressure to stop levy. And the president says Nigeria on track to attain food security. I think we got to scrutinize that. Oni disowns alleged son, petitions police. And the last headline I will take here. Rescued Chibok girl, 3 children released to Borno government. Chibok girls, they're not done yet with Chibok girls. Okay. Let me now go to another newspaper. Now to the Vanguard. The Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway is not disappearing from the scene. The story here in the Vanguard says Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project not okay by NAS, procurement for probe reps. Some of these things we got to take a look at there. 24 hours after Army's exit, one person macheted, 3 injured as intruders Luke Okwama Ewu. IMF cautions federal government against CBN Act amendment. I remember having a conversation with the finance expert who was also a member of the House of Reps, and of course a promoter of a university. I think one of these days we got to talk to him. And he was telling us he kept quoting copiously from the CBN Act that no governor of any central bank in the world has the powers, the sweeping powers of the central bank governor of Nigeria. And I think that came into being during the Obasanjo era when they needed to amend the laws, for the recapitalization and all of that. But you see, it is not about the laws, it is the man who is in the saddle. Cash transfer scheme raised household savings but had little other impact. Mietiala flees alleged killing of members in Southeast. Senate reps disagree on implementation of Cyber Security Act. And Senate okays death penalty for manufacturers of dangerous drugs. They are not prescribing death penalty for those who pay for public funds. That would be suicidal.
Exactly.
Yes, still in the Vanguard this morning. Okay, we don't want, of course, one of the states that's not leaving our radar, the 3 states are Edo, Delta, and Rivers. Rivers is active again. We don't want Fubara here, our quarter still new, Assembly Speaker Amaule, because Fubara visited yesterday. He said he wanted to see for himself the state of the Assembly, if it was fit for the members to leave. Maybe another demolition exercise is coming. Hey, Nigeria and our home burn. Why I visited Rivers Assembly quarters? That's coming from Fubara. Reps order CBN to halt implementation of 0.5% levies on e-transaction. And Wabara says, Ado Wabara, former Senate President and I think it's chairman of BOT of PDP.
Yes.
He says, call Wike to order now before Rivers burns. That's Wabara telling Tinubu. Okay. Court grants Buhari's ex-minister, Sirika, daughter, others, 100 million naira bail. But I think another story says that the travel documents have been, impounded. Okay, let's move rapidly to another newspaper now. The Guardian newspaper. House of Reps directs CBN to halt implementation of 0.5 levy on e-transactions. How real estate firms, agencies fleece prospective property buyers. IMF projects 24% inflation rate for Nigeria by year end. That's an interesting projection. Okay. Ondo 2024, top choices for voters as ex-deputies battle for highest office. 2 deputies of the same governor, Ajayi and Aiyedatiwa. House probes Lagos Calabar Highway alleged visa racketeering. Okay, FG recaptures more Suleja inmates to modernize fire academy. Wabara to Tinubu. Wabara asked Tinubu to caution Wike over Rivers crisis. Well, quite a number of those stories overlap. Let's now go to leadership, which has quite a quantum. Rivers crisis, Fubara, lawmakers take fight to assembly quarters. That's where they meet now. Okay, so it's going to be an interesting. A lawyer, Mr. Lekontani, yesterday was giving us an insight to where he's designated, You must meet in a specific place. You cannot meet in just any place. That was based on the impeachment of Ladoja and the overturning of it. So who designates? They meet somewhere in the conference center of one of the halls in the assembly quarters. Fubara is inspecting it for renovation. Okay. Let's see some more headlines here. Yes. Now to the Nation newspaper. NLC justifies 615,000 naira demand of minimum wage. Rivers House affirms legitimacy as Fubara backs 3 loyal lawmakers. I read somewhere that the clerk has stepped in and said it is the Amawuli faction. Okay, what's the meaning of that? How does the speaker have such powers? What do you call it? The clerk, does he have such powers?
He presides over the inaugural, and he seems to be recognizing the majority one, because it's really funny.
He's a civil servant too.
He has his own powers too under the law.
Under the law?
As a clerk.
Okay. Because whether he's a civil servant or not, he does not have I don't think he has the powers to.
He simply made clarification. So whatever the paper reported is just
clarification.
Yes, clarification.
Okay, because when you are making pronouncements like a court of justice,
no, he simply made clarification.
Okay,
that though the inaugurated house is still the one that is the majority. Those ones just emerged from nowhere and started claiming legitimacy because the parties say so, as in the political party.
Because they say they are no longer members since they decamped.
And he stated...
Why don't they simply go to court over that matter?
I think they're in court.
But the wheels of justice. Prince Harry and Meghan expected in Nigeria today. So, ASU rejects wage award, insists on negotiated salary for members. I do not think the academic staff, ASU, has had any modification of their salary since 2009. That's quite... yes, but let's just leave that. Okay, still reading from The Nation this morning. Court administers her daughter-in-law into 100 million bail. Still that cuts across. Senate House differ on cybersecurity levy. It cuts across the newspapers. Okay, let's now go to let's go take the stories, the body of the stories. After we take some of these stories that are talking points, we'll be throwing the studio lines open for you as stakeholders to join in the conversation. Yes, IMF cautions FG against CBN Act amendment. Let's see the observations and then lump that up with their projection of 24%. Some of these things that IMF says, you just wonder whether they are the regulators of the International Monetary Fund. IMF has cautioned the federal government against the proposed amendment of the act establishing the Central Bank of Nigeria, calling rather for strengthening of the Apex Bank. The position of the fund was contained in the Article 5 staff consultation report of the Board of Governors of the Global Organization, which was released in Washington yesterday. It stated directors supported the authority's intention to shift to an inflation targeting regime and recommended strengthening central bank independence and communications to ensure a successful transition. They recommended caution regarding amendments to the CBN Act that may weaken the institution. They supported the increase in the minimum capital for banks and urged CBN to unwind the regulatory forbearance introduced during the pandemic. Okay, directors commended the authorities for restraining the cash transfer program, restarting, and emphasizing the urgency of scaling it up to mitigate acute food security. Yes, let's go now. Link it up to the 24% projection for inflation. While I search for that story.
Almonds FM 94.3, the model of broadcasting.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Almond headliners this Friday morning on Almond 94.3 FM. Yes, the Guardian newspaper, we want to lump these two stories from IMF together. This other story says IMF projects 24% inflation rate for Nigeria by year end. Calls for strengthening of CBN's autonomy. With continued monetary tightening, Nigeria's headline inflation could gradually decline to 24% by the end of the year, the IMF has projected. Nigeria's failed runaway inflation that hit 33.3% in March 2024. April figures are not ready, but experts expected the inflation to remain high. The IMF, in a report released after its board meeting consultation with Nigeria, expressed satisfaction with the policy reforms of the present administration, which it described as ambitious. The board also recommended strengthening the independence of the central bank. Okay, they lumped the two together. Central bank and headline inflation, 24% projections. Should the central bank, what should happen to the central bank, Buffy, I remember it's a Buffy law, bank and other financial institutions. Okay, so is the central bank governor too powerful?
It shouldn't really be about the central bank governor. It should be about the central bank itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't afford to have a weak financial regulator, regulatory agency like the central bank. And because the act would empower the governor to do certain things, but it's not acting alone. He has a team that he works with. And of course, the sole responsibility is to ensure we have, at every point in time, reasonable monetary policy so that the economy at the macro level can be strengthened. So that's the basic thing that the CBN does. So any attempt to now weaken that power is dangerous. That, I think, is what the IMF is trying to advise the government against.
What about the 24% projection from in 33 thereabouts? 33.3.
They are linking it to the fact that by the end of the year, we are supposed to have functional refineries, giving us the petroleum products.
How will that affect the economy?
It's going to bring down cost of production as well as logistics. That is what it's meant to do. And when those two are down, price will follow. And price is what we are talking about when we say inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what they are looking at. And for now, we are yet to be convinced as regards the startup date for Port Harcourt. Even Dangote is also postponing the production of PMS.
When are they postponing it for, projecting it for now?
There has even been silence because, like, they are waiting for Port Harcourt to come up before they will
Why?
start there. I don't know. Well, it could be for economic reasons, could be for reasonable pricing or whatever. But for now, there seems to be a kind of conspiracy in that area, which is not clear to us. But it's you can easily, deduce, or what is it called, or discern it from the way and manner things have been slowed down deliberately. So when you see that,
That's a business. What are they waiting for?
it's a business. They may not be planning to reduce the price. And some of us have been arguing that there's no way you produce locally, you refine locally, and still sell at that same price.
Why did they reduce the price of diesel?
Because people made noise. If the marketers had not made noise, I doubt if Dangote would respond. Why would he even start at that price initially, when the cost of freight and insurance and all manner of
Out
things
of it.
are out of it? Why would that not reflect in the price? So it shows that some people are just there to continue to do business with Nigerians or on Nigerians, and it's not fair.
I spoke to some very, very senior managers. One who left NNPC a few months ago, one that is still operational, actually in the Port Harcourt refinery. I've also spoken to is it Pengasin? Yeah, Pengasin people, and the impression they are giving me is that maybe 550. That we should not expect 500.
That would be criminal of them. And that is the reason why all this sudden scarcity is just an attempt to push the price up a little, so that when they now bring 550, we'll appreciate. Meanwhile, they are supposed to launch around 350, 400.
How do you mean? How do they do that?
Look, this is not... we did not buy the crude from outside of the country.
Dangote is buying.
From within. He chose to buy because he said his machines or equipment can refine different variant of crude. So he need to test them. That is the reason why I believe he had gone to import the one from US to also refine and see whether or not those equipments are working as they
As marketed.
As marketed, rather. So he needs to refine. If he now continues to refine, that is when we begin to raise eyebrow. Are you saying that, the crude in US, even the US will not continue to sell the crude. They will prefer buy from the Middle East and keep their own in reserve. That's the way the US does.
And then the issue of crude, Nigeria's production, our quota and our ability to meet domestic needs.
Quota for now is 1.2.
Are we meeting it?
We have the capacity to meet it, but the government has been keeping quiet as regards that. And that is why some of us are saying, come, look, Bobri, what is your problem? Can't you be talking?
And
we are just keeping quiet. People don't know what is going on in that sector.
Because he has made promises that remain unfulfilled.
You still need to update people. As reason for them, let them know the reason why those your promises. What are the impediments that is facing those things that you have said? Let them know the real situation.
No, he didn't let us know. When he went there in November, was it in October, and said they will be active by December. Look, of course, Pengasi people told me that they just fed, they fed crude to get the fire that they produced. Nothing was happening. That it was just the one they called demo.
That's what government, fella will call government magic. That's what has happened then. But the thing is, this goes beyond government magic. We need to really be real here. Let's be sincere with ourselves. Gather pressmen together. Like Mohammed did when people were criticizing the real project. So, no problem. All of you come. Let's meet in Lagos. And they took them.
And gave them a ride.
They gave them a ride on the rail. Now you
Seeing
see,
is believing.
Seeing is believing. Are we still now joking with it, or we are doing propaganda? That solved the problem then. So he too needs to gather press to Port Harcourt. You understand? And take them around the facilities. There will be people who had been working, who are reporters or correspondents within the oil sectors, who would have some information and some questions to ask those who are working there. Okay, you said this thing. Can you test it in our presence? Okay, where is the supply of crude? Where is the pipeline that brings it? Where does the crude come? They will ask questions, and they will have something concrete to report to Nigerians, and it's whatever they report that we'll analyze here.
There is the Port Harcourt 1 and 2, and then the petrochemical. I think the petrochemical has been sold, or at least in the partnership. But okay, that's LMA petrochemical. 1 and 2. What's the store capacity?
It's about 185,000. That's 165.
The two.
Yeah.
One is 60 or one is 8 or something. Okay. So, Dangote. If Dangote is active 100%, Port Harcourt 1 and 2 are active 100%, we should be exporting.
Depends, though. It depends. Before we can be exporting, it means we are not consuming more of it locally. And the only real thing that can make us to consume less of petroleum products
is power. All right, got you. Yes, okay, let's now go to the story in the Nation newspaper. Senate House of Reps differ on cybersecurity levy implementation. The Senate and the House of Reps yesterday disagreed on the implementation of the cybersecurity levy announced by the Central Bank of Nigeria. While the Senate argued that the levy was not punitive, the House called on the CBN to halt its implementation because of the apprehension created by the announcement. Also, the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, NESD, criticized the levy, saying it should be paid by high net worth companies and individuals. The levy contained in the Cyber Crimes Prohibition Prevention Amendment Act 2024 is to take off in 10 days. On Wednesday, the presidency explained that it was being proposed to tackle cyber crimes and terrorism. He said that Nigeria lost over 273 billion to cyber crimes alone last year. The CBN, in a circular on Monday, directed commercial banks, commercial, merchant, and non-interest payment service banks, and other financial institutions, among others, to activate 0.5% of some electronic transactions. Mobile money operators and payment service providers will also have to do the same. According to the Apex banks, monthly deductions are to be remitted to the National Cybersecurity Fund account by the 5th business day of every subsequent month. It is not going away. People are actively protesting against this. Why?
Because it's criminal.
Oh, wait, how do you mean?
Yes, how would the government just choose to continue to make life miserable for its people? How?
Tax. Well, we must pay
In
tax.
fact, I sat down 2 days ago and I came up with this definition that, well, in Nigeria, I think what we practice now is taxocracy.
No. I mean, it's not everybody that's going to be paying.
It's taxocracy.
I mean,
or scamatocracy, because
there are exemptions.
Look, those exemptions are infinitesimal, because if you look at
individuals don't pay.
Why would you even charge transfer from? Because there are other levies. Why Nigerians wouldn't have complained if the stamp duty has not been there. Because what I expect is that they will amend whatever law that set up the stamp duty to now make it proportional. Because if I used my POS card to buy goods worth of 1,500, you will charge me stamp duty of 15 naira. If somebody else buy good worth 10 million, it is still the same 15 naira. Now tell me, where is the fairness in that? Now you are not bringing this one. Yes, I like the proportional aspect, but who amended that figure from 0.05 to 0.5?
Was it 0.05 before?
That was the initial figure.
That was the law.
Yes, that was what was in that law as of 2015. So when you now come in 2024,
Was it being implemented?
When did the assembly amended it? When? Do you understand some of the things that we're talking about here? That's why I said it's scamatocracy that we're practicing.
Was it being implemented? Was it being used?
There are so many laws that are there that this government is now looking at it. Okay, it's favorable to the agenda, and they are bringing in some they will quickly send for amendments. Like the student loan was already signed, and they later discovered those lacuna. They send it back for amendment. They've signed the amendment again. The one on railway, the regulation, the one on even power grid now. So there are so many of them that previous assemblies
Power
have
grid,
passed.
that's the Electricity Act of 2023.
Yeah. So when you look at all these things, the thing is, why did the 2024 amendment now decided to change it from 0.05 to 0.5?
You acknowledge an amendment.
That was what was quoted. That there's an amendment, according to amended in 2024. They said it. But the question people are asking is, when did the assembly? We need to really be beaming such light on these plenaries now.
Look,
because we need to know what they are discussing in that place. Because you just will not hear anything, and the next thing is that a law has been signed, and this is what it contains, and you are supposed to slam it on horse.
Let me now point out something to you. Where we copied and pasted this democracy from, parliamentary democracy or presidential democracy, in Washington, there are lobby groups in their hundreds, if not thousands, pursuing monitoring. Professional lobbyists. The former Minister of Information, what was his name? Lai Mohammed. You know, they just set up a lobby. I am surprised. Even labor movement, they will hold what do you call it? Public hearing, and people will say they didn't hear anything. Because there are no lobby groups, we must even the people must constitute themselves. Shareholders, every vested interest must constitute themselves into lobby groups.
Do you know why there are lobby groups in the US? It is because the institution there is strong and independent.
They strengthen the institutions. Some people help to strengthen the institutions.
The POTUS in the White House does not determine who becomes the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Look, the Nigerians are acting as if
the only one he has influence over is his vice president, who doubles
as the Senate president.
And that is if he wins the election. That's why by law, a presidential candidate must choose a senator as his running mate. That's what they have there. We didn't copy all these things. You understand? Now, even at the component unit, at the states, they have their respective Supreme Court. They have veto. They can veto federal law that, we're in Alabama, this is not going to pass. You understand? But we don't have that kind of autonomy at our state level here. They all go cap in hand to Abuja to beg for money every day.
People are not monitoring what is happening.
I am saying the lobbies are more sponsored by the executive in the US. Most of them are not independent. They are contracted.
They are sponsored
because they have
by
to
vested
go.
interest.
They have to go.
The pharmaceuticals have their lobbies. Even every group and vested interest, they are in the capital watching and monitoring.
What do they do? What did they do
to
exactly?
ensure that their interest is not.
The question people want to know, our listeners, what these lobbies do. One, they monitor the proceedings. And who do they lobby? They lobby the lawmakers,
of course,
the congressmen and the senators. So that if any legislation is going to affect their interests,
yes,
they come and see if they can convince them otherwise. And if probably too,
and if they cannot convince them, they invade the media space to
bully them out of,
to force the hands and raise awareness amongst the people. Yeah.
But the lobby system did not start with the American democracy.
I didn't say it started, but it is an essential part of. We just elect them and leave them to their devices.
Yeah, that is one thing. That's a job for the civil society group.
We think
the Nigerian Bar Associations. We think all other interest group are the ones that would now look into these things and begin to see. Because for now, the executive seems to be dictating.
Do you remember the Kama law when it was passed? And
yes.
It was after it was passed. Yet they held sessions, stakeholder sessions. But people are not there. People are not there. How could that pass? How could that have passed, for God's sake? And they say it has passed first reading, second reading, and then there will be an a concurrence, and the president will.
Sometimes most of the stakeholder sessions were not publicized. And sometimes they give short notice. Sometimes they will not give the people adequate opportunity to plan for the for to be part of it.
Vested
we know these people manipulate. They are listening. By the time our callers begin to call, you see they may even come that you can't be bringing that here because we know how our lawmaker. I just said that the amendment of 2024. Well, how did they go? We are still in
look at the Media Act that was forced out. You know, I remember Shegun Odebumi from Ogoluwa Surulere. They had to withdraw it because, of course, it affected. It has to do with the media. And I remember one particularly, the media printed black cover against it. That was the day they had to withdraw that bill from this. You know, I mean, you want to set up a law that will say every newspaper, everybody must read. You know, people.
That's one with the media. The media has the media is the fourth estate of the realm, and they are not carrying that title for joke. As far as democracy is concerned, after the three arms of government, the next thing is the media, and it's an independent one. So that is the rule.
No, you can't say the media is independent.
Because proprietors are those in government, but we still have some independent, especially the online version, who still give us some investigatory, and of course, if I would not sound being what is it called now, being favoritism, you still cannot de-emphasize the influence of the Punch in the print media. Because when you see the way they will present, though they may bring some funny headline, but in terms of
there is no media outlet that does not have vested interest.
Yes, but you know, they still kind of stand out in terms of not reporting what the government want them to report. Let me just put it that way. So that's why most Nigerians will rely.
If you are talking about standout print media, they are not the foremost. I don't want to mention names.
Yes.
Please don't mention names.
Yes,
Please
I know. I know they are not the form, but people rely more because of what they get. They also read these other ones that you may want to bring up to.
I have seen them, but let's leave that. Let's move on. Yes, move on now to Rivers State. Rivers crisis, Fubara lawmakers take fight to assembly quarters. Barely 24 hours after the emergence of factional Speaker of the Rivers House of Assembly, Governor Similaye Fubara yesterday paid an unscheduled visit to the House of Assembly quarters located off Aba Road in Port Harcourt. Development comes barely 72 hours after the governor described the Right Honorable Martins Amaule-led house as non-existent. The Amaule-led house has been used in the multi-purpose hall of the quarters as their sitting venue following the demolition of a section of the Assembly complex located along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt late last year. Speaking to the newsman, Fubara explained that his visit to the residential quarters of the State Assembly was to undertake an on-the-spot assessment of the condition of the structures for a possible rehabilitation work to restore its status and make it livable. The governor said, "Is the Assembly quarters not part of my property? Is there anything wrong in going to check how things are going on there? You are aware of the developments. We have a new speaker, and I went there to see for myself how things are. There might be a few things that I might want to do there for the good of our people." The governors, they think they are emperors. He says, "Is it not my property?" Is it his property?
That is where he needs some education, because he spoke like an illiterate.
That is
horrible. Even though he's a governor, and I initially was having some kind of sympathy for him, but of recent, his recent action has made him.
No, he said when the day
to lose that sympathy.
He said, if I recognize, is he the one that recognizes?
That's why I'm saying that his recent actions has made me to lose that sympathy.
And let me read the other part of the story. Pro-Wiki legislators fret, say governor plotting another demolition. Meanwhile, members of the Rivers State House of Assembly loyal to the minister have expressed discontent over the unscheduled visit of Governor Similaye Fubara to the House of Assembly quarters. Addressing journalists in Port Harcourt yesterday, Martin Amaule said Fubara's visit may not be unconnected with his plot to demolish the quarters, just as he demolished the House of Assembly. Rivers people were stunned this afternoon when they got information that the governor stormed the Rivers Assembly quarters. It is yet another attempt to demolish the State House of Assembly quarters. the same way it demolished the Rivers State House of Assembly complex. Nigerians and Rivers people have been watching the events day by day as our governor, who is supposed to uphold the constitution, is gradually sliding into the position of chief lawbreaker of Nigeria.
He's plotting his own downfall, and he's digging his own grave. If he feels that now the only person that can stop his impeachment will be the chief judge, and if the chief judge is human being and has a price, you understand? Anytime,
Not necessarily material prices.
you understand? Anytime the powers or the forces against him are ready to pay that price, the governor is gone. So somebody should put some senses in his head, because he's behaving like he's not a Democrat.
And now let me add the third part. The story says Rivers House reaffirms legitimacy as Fubara backs 3 lawmakers. Now the story says the clerk of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Dr. Emeka Ahmadi, yesterday disowned the 3-member faction backed by Governor Similaye Fubara. He clarified that Martins Amaule remained the authentic speaker of the 27-member house, stressing that the 3 members loyal to the governor, he mentioned their names, cannot parade themselves as officers, having been suspended on October 30 last year. Having been suspended. The clarification by the clerk came against the backdrop of Fubara's backing Jumbo as speaker. Also yesterday, Fubara's visit to the legislative quarters where the 27 lawmakers reside sparked a row. They had suspended those who are supporting Fubara.
Let me even add some information to it. Their own speaker, their former speaker, resigned. Is now chief of staff. What delayed the re-election of another speaker till now? That is to show the level of unseriousness that those guys are displaying. You understand what you're saying? Why would you create a vacuum, or did they declare recess when their speaker?
And there was no acting speaker.
Yeah, no, there was no acting speaker. So that tells you that they are not even the recognized ones. Then how can 3 represent a state like Rivers with how many local governments? You understand what you're saying here? Because there were 4. 1 resigned. He has not been replaced. Now, out of the 3, they put another speaker, so speaker to preside over a 3-member house. Does that make sense? And it's not their fault. There are precedents. You understand? 6 people have impeached a governor in Nigeria before.
They did in
a governor have governed with 7-member House of Assembly before in Edo. We've seen what happened in Kogi. So when you have all this, and we used to say it when these things are happening, that we are setting bad precedents. Some other person will come and copy this thing, and because that one has gotten away. The only reason?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I think there's a glitch on this line. Yes, well, some of these things that happen, we just find.
So I was saying that.
Yes, the numbers to call 0704 7000 943. 0704 7000 943. And the second number 090 11 11 1943. 090 11 11 1943. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Looks like there's a glitch on this number.
Call the other number.
Yeah, please call the other number. Please call the other number. Yes. Hello. Hello. Oh, could you please call the other number, please? So, looks like there's a challenge on that number. So, what do we call it? Fubara is who wrote the script for him? Oh, okay. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, my brothers from Alaki to the Alliance.
Good morning.
The issue of Rivers State, you see, the problem is honest. I think there should be a way of calling wicked to order. You see, it is the people that are suffering. There will be no development where there is crisis. The other time they went to the state assembly and, put fire. Who's money?
Not about the one that demolished it.
Can you see a lot of? You see, I don't believe that politics should be turned to that. You see, if they continue, I don't know where the elders are standing. Either before, behind the wicket, or behind Subara.
The elders are also taking sides.
You are installing a stool, and you should not expect your stool to follow you. Somebody mentored him. Wicket said. Some people mentored the wicket. What's his name? Amici did a lot for wicket. At the end of the day, he dumped the wicket. What you have done to others will be replicated unto you. You can't escape that nemesis. And now, if both of them have the interest of the masses at heart, the poor rivers, I think they should see this result and allow rivers to have peace. Very, very important. And on Coastal Road, you see, the conflict of interest has made that contract void. Because even constitutionally, since there is somebody, the son of a president, as a director in one of the subsidiaries of that company, I think, it's enough. So people who are talking about it, they know what they are talking. I think people of integrity, people who have the love of the masses, should be put into the helm of affairs. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Have a fruitful day. So, wow. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
This is John Larewaju.
Yes. Your contribution.
On the issue of Coastal Road, as far as I'm concerned, if the allegation from the different quarters against the son of Mr. President that is one of the board director of the ITEC that have connection with the contract, if it's true to me, I think they need to check it very well, because hardly you can believe the Nigeria politicians. Even if the son is not involved, look at the Addis Rika now and his family. Look at what's happened there. Is it different from this one, the Coastal Road we are talking about the son of president too? Even they were even dragging the son of Buhari to his children. So definitely he cannot be trusted, and nobody can tell me that there is nothing bad about it, because we have seen the evidence of it, and this Rika and his family is facing it. So definitely they need to stop it, because Nigeria politicians with their children cannot be trusted. And on the issue of River State, to me, I agree that it might be illegal for that House of Assembly. But according to our analysts, we have seen the cases of that.
Well, thank you, Mr. John Olariwaju, for your contribution. Now, there will be consequences. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, this is another John. This one, not Olariwaju, but who's of the Joko, that's my name.
Hey, good morning to you, sir. Seriously, sir?
Yes. And I am saying that no need to Kubara fire. It is not the duty of Kubara to declare any city taker. I'm aware that it's only the court, and that matter is before the court. Please let it be noted that I'm not a fan of Nyesom Nweke. People who have been hearing me on many radio programs. I'm not. But on this matter, let the truth be told. This matter is before the court, and it's only the court that can declare that it's vacant, not the governor. Funny as well, he's even confused. He was equally urging the president to caution Nyesom Nweke. How do you believe the president will caution Nyesom Nweke? Well, what I want to say this morning is that concerning the detention of a journalist, Daniel Ojuku, is under detention under APC government that claims upholding the rule of law as one of the guiding philosophies. I am referring Nigeria to Nation newspaper of 19th August 2013, page 13, 30 APC Cardinal program. There you see. If Daniel Ojuku has written any known law, let him be dragged to court. If not, release him or obtain court order for his continuous detention. John Nuzon, that's so many things.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning.
I'm Biodun Fetiga speaking from Agogo.
Good morning.
Yes, let me start with the Mubarak. I think I just want to stop the let me put it this way. We said that's all Mubarak is that much again.
Mubarak, it's Mubarak, it's not Mubarak.
Mubarak, sorry.
Mubarak.
It's like someone going to the devil for money ritual. Do you understand me? Now, devil is demanding some things that you cannot afford. Why did you go to the devil in the first place?
What is it that you cannot afford?
No, the point is, we keep put him there. We cannot deny the truth. You may say election happened or that he put him there. So Wiki is demanding some things that he cannot afford. So let him face the music. Let me leave that. On the cyber security, sir, you know I will always talk about system in Nigeria. And system is established by law and constitution. Like the analyst rightly said, in the law, 2000 and when the 0.05 stop was put into law, it was by law that we have 0.05. Now the president, the executive arm of government is saying they want to make it 0.5, and the National Assembly is now standing against it. I want to ask my analyst now, even if the body language of the president is saying 0.5 and the National Assembly is insisting on 0.05, which one we prevail, sir?
The law is the law.
The law is the law.
God bless you. So at times when we are talking about president this, president that, president should do this, let us have a law that will put the president on his toes. I don't care about your body language as a president. Go where could dance bata, dance juju, whatever you like, dance. Whatever the law says must stand. And the National Assembly has the upper hand than the presidency when it comes to execution of law and constitution. Nigeria should focus more on National Assembly than the presidency.
All right.
And lastly, I want to ask something about the petrol while we're having this discussion.
Yes. Good morning.
The radio man, why do you have 2 lines?
Hello?
For calling?
Please hold on. Why do you have what?
2 mobile lines or 3 mobile lines for calling for us to contribute.
Yes, I mean for flexibility.
Because if one fails, let's assume one network is not, you can switch to other one.
Yeah.
And people can have access to the
Exactly, flexibility.
lines. Nigeria is still depending on the federal government alone when it comes to production of petroleum products. Why are we depending on the federal government that has been failing since 1994? Why can't we switch our focus on the state government that has been given power to generate to have refinery?
Monopoly.
Let the state governor start from modular refinery.
Most of the governors are mentally indolent. They just they just love to go to Abuja and collect.
Then let's push them.
How do we
want to push them by our voices?
Exactly.
We complain on the 0.0 on the 0.5 cyber security, right? And they had us. Let us complain on the laziness of our government.
Exactly.
Maybe Nigeria will be better.
God bless
Have
you.
a beautiful day.
God bless you. Thank you. More taxes coming. The chairman of the committee to to review taxes said that they're going to be raising VAT. So more taxes. Hello, good Mr. John. Okay, good morning. God bless you.
Hello.
Thank you for your patience.
About the Fubara and the to me, look, this country, I mean Nigeria, hardly we are pushing the illegal, especially when it comes to the politicians. They don't follow the law and they don't practice illegal something. Many of them. See, I cannot blame Fubara by establish another house of assembly. He has to save himself. You see, that's how they used to do. You have to, whether illegal or it's not illegal, he will use the kind of system they used to use. They have their own system.
Political system.
If you are talking about, yes, thank you very much. Political system. Yes, thank you. They will use it to save himself. So he knows that what is wrong. But do you expect him to fold his hand and to just remove just like that?
Exactly.
So I don't blame you. Thank you and good morning.
He's not using it to.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
I thought he was still on the line.
They are using. He's listening.
Fubara is not using it.
Let me ask you this: Are these people using Obasanjo's playbook?
They are not.
Obasanjo's playbook. He impeached with 6.
Yes, he impeached with 6. But these are, we're talking about 27 now.
And they did
That's
that,
more than
and they read that they did some arithmetic.
It's rather is reading Obaseki's own
playbook,
Yes.
Political playbook,
Yeah, that's what he is
impeachment
using.
playbook.
But what he ought to have been doing is to buy loyalists. He has resources.
He did not.
He is supposed to have infiltrated that 27. By now, we should be talking about him buying as much as 17 away from that side to him side.
Not tactical.
He doesn't It shows that he's a political lightweight, and that is the reason why he may be impeached at the end of the day.
Well, he might be impeached at the end of the day, but that decision rests with the CJ. Well, it's a wrap.
I told you the CJ has a price. Whenever they are ready to pay that
whether
price,
material or moral.
whether material or whatever, whenever they are ready to pay that price, he will be helpless. All the Lee and Co will not be able to save him. The reason why they are trying to be skeptical about the whole thing is because of the strategic position of Rivers
in 2027.
Not even in 2027, even as we speak. Rivers houses a good number of our oil infrastructure.
All right.
They cannot afford to put that
configuration.
Yeah, that is the reason why the federal government is slowing down. You think they would have played the Obasanjo card, declare state of emergency, first of all remove him, and the administrator
We got to go now. It's a wrap on Almond Headliners this Friday morning. Mr. Barijukadesungo, thank you for
having me.
Interventions. Thank you, our listeners. And I say thank you to our contributors. God bless you all. Have a splendid weekend. And to the Muslim faithfuls, well, Baraka Juma. And of course, Idris is on the wings to present Baraka Juma. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless our union.